Hi, my name is Galvin. I'm an analyst with an oil and gas company. I've been in Hope City for roughly 6 years now. For the past year, like many of us listening, the pandemic hasn't been very easy on my job. I think because of the pandemic, there has been a change in consumer behavior. There's less demands for our product, and that led to an unsustainable way of doing business for our company. And this then triggered an inevitable organization-wide restructuring. Although I've experienced a couple of restructuring before, I think the feeling is always the same. It brings a lot of anxiety and uncertainties. My wife and I started to pray about it, so that I wouldn't be impacted. And I think God has been very faithful to me in the past. He has brought me through a lot of similar situations, and He has preserved my job so far, and we really held on to those past experiences that we had. After some time, my boss told me that my job was impacted. Of course, I was gutted, but I knew that it wasn't the end. I knew that the battle then has just begun. I began to start to fast and pray. I picked what I thought was possibly the easiest thing to fast for me, which is social media, and how wrong I was. I think for every day I tried to fast from social media, my hands would twitch and they would go on autopilot and pick up the phone and almost made me launch Facebook and Instagram. And it took quite a while to kick that habit, but eventually I did, and what made me do was to have more time to talk with God. And I think it's through this extra time that I talked to God that He began to give me that peace through this season. But not only that, He gave me a revelation of peace, which is the peace that He gives to me is not for me to thrive in a peaceful and calm world, but the peace that He gives to me is for me to thrive in this broken and chaotic world in the middle of a pandemic. I did all I could to apply for the job, and I completed the application, submitted it, and committed it to God. And I remembered vividly sitting at my computer when my immediate boss's name popped up on my Skype window as a phone call, and my heart just sank. I thought, that's it. It's been a good journey. Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to work in such a nice job. And it turns out that the job of giving the good news was delegated to my boss instead. And I was so relieved, and my boss told me that I have indeed successfully secured the job. Through this, I have no one else but to thank God for this, for preserving me through this season. In Ezekiel 47 verse 3 it says, "Going on eastward with a measuring line in his hand, the man measured 1,000 cubits, and then led me through the water, and it was ankle deep. Again he measured 1,000, and led me through the water. It was knee deep. Again he measured 1,000, and led me through the water. It was waist deep. Again he measured 1,000, and it was a river that I could not pass through, for the water had risen." For someone who cannot swim very well, reading those verses is very scary to me. And I think God has also been speaking to me for many years now through this song called "You Make Me Brave" by Bethel. You know, I've always imagined God's plan for me is like this giant swimming pool where I could see the whole shape of the swimming pool, and all I had to do was to jump in the swimming pool and to immerse in God's plan for me. But I think recently God has been teaching me otherwise. And even through this song, I think God's been telling me that, I shouldn't limit myself to this imagination that God's plan for me is a swimming pool. And it's beginning to reveal to me that God's plan could be more of an ocean or a river where the boundaries are not clearly defined, but all I need to do was to step up in faith, and God has already given me the courage to step out even as I go deeper into His plans and in relationship with Him. If you're listening to this testimony today and you have been going through the same type of anxiety and anxiousness, as I've gone through, I think I want to encourage you to claim my testimony for yourself. You know, if God can do this to me, He can do the very same for you and even so much more.